Welcome to Dolphins Today by Chat Sports. I am Nic Rohloff, where we are talking all about the latest surrounding the Dolphins trade rumors on Jonnu Smith and Jalen Ramsey, the two players that may be traded here in the month of June. We know Ramsey will be, but we'll share an update on Jonnu Smith. Might point towards him actually being dealt. Before we get into that, it is Chat Sports Comment Day, which is something we do a little bit once in a while where we try to see what channel can get the most comments on a video. So spam me in the comment section to try to get Dolphins Today to the number one on the leaderboard. Whoever spams me the most on today's video, get a shout out tomorrow. So go down and get your me's in the comments. I will start with the Jonnu Smith update because this has been a roller coaster of a ride over the past week. We saw the initial report from Adam Schefter that was a kind of bomb where it's just like, oh my goodness, like they're going to talk about trading Jonnu, link the Steelers. Then earlier this week, Adam Schefter said, well, the Steelers aren't going to actually trade for Jonnu Smith. Well, late on Tuesday afternoon, Schefter back on the Steelers potentially trading for Jonnu Smith, saying that they're back in it. They have renewed trade talks. Now, this is because one of their tight ends ultimately suffered a season-ending injury. Now, with that being said, the tight end that suffered the injury, it was Darnell Farm, I believe is his name. He's like their third-string tight end, so I don't know how that impacts needing Jonnu Smith. But albeit, it seems like there is negotiations once again. And I said this on a video earlier today when talking about the latest on Jonnu Smith, but I want to reiterate it here. It feels like there's two options for Jonnu this year. He either figures it out with his contract situation and remains a Miami Dolphin in 2025, or the Dolphins don't figure it out with Jonnu Smith and they trade him to the Pittsburgh Steelers, because it seems like if they do trade him, Arthur Smith, the former head coach and offensive coordinator at two different locations, Atlanta and Tennessee, of Jonnu, would like to bring him back into his offense. So it feels like that's where things are heading. And it is truly all about the money. Like, Miami wants him. Cameron Wolfe reiterated that on a report on NFL Network today, saying that the Jonnu Smith situation is all about the money. He's coming off a franchise best season for a tight end in Miami, and he wants to get paid. Both sides want to be back in Miami. And I hope they figure this out. I want Jonnu Smith to stay a member of the Miami Dolphins. But the truth is this. I understand some hesitancy to giving him a long-term deal. He is turning 30 years old. He just had his best season in his career. Do you want to bank on someone getting continuously better in age 31 and 32? No, probably not. So, yeah, I want to keep Jonnu Smith around, but the only thing I'm doing for him in terms of financial is I'll improve his 1-year salary and guaranteed money this year, or maybe add on 1 year. Like, this is the last year of his contract. I'll add in a year for the 2026 season. But I'm not giving him a contract that takes him through this year, next year, and the year after that. I'll bump up this year or giving him an extra year. But I'm not breaking the bank for Jonnu Smith, although I do really want to keep him because he did have a franchise record season for tight end in terms of receptions, yards, and touchdowns. And it did look pretty nice with having him in this Mike McDaniel offense. So let me know. What say you? Today's pinned comment. Do you want to keep Jonnu Smith? Type K for keep. Type T for trade. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section on if you want to keep him around. I want to keep Jonnu Smith. But this trade idea did flash in my mind earlier today. I talked with our Steelers Talk host, Jack Sperry, who asked about what I'd want for Jonnu. I said probably a 5th-round pick. I doubt they'd be able to get a 4th, so I said a 5th. And he goes, all right, interesting. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I would be willing to do that. Well, then here's my idea then. If you don't want to give a 5th-round pick, how about you get a tight end in return? Because the truth is, in the behemoth of a man that Darnell Washington is, like, I don't know if he's the best fit in Miami, but I would like to add him to this room. Big, athletic, physical freak. Maybe he works out for the Fins. But if you trade for Jonnu, you now have Jonnu Smith and Pat Freiermuth. You don't need Darnell Washington. So if you get a 6th-round pick and a developmental tight end that's just an absolute massive human being, well, I might be in on that potential idea. So that would be my trade that I would like in return for Pittsburgh. If you don't get Darnell Washington, I'll take a 5th-round pick straight up. Now, the conversation after that would happen is, well, where do you go in terms of replacing Jonnu Smith? Because, as I said, Darnell Washington, Julian Hill, and Pharaoh Brown isn't going to get the job done for Miami this upcoming year. Well, I think these are 3 players that you could ultimately see be traded. We've heard in the past about Michael Mayer being a trade candidate in Las Vegas. They have Brock Bowers. Over the past week, we've heard Kyle Pitts be someone that could be traded from Atlanta if the right package comes in. I said it on a video yesterday on Tuesday morning that if the Dolphins did trade Jonnu, my number one target would be Kyle Pitts, and maybe I would try to get Pitts in return for Jalen Ramsey in a crazy hypothetical deal. But I would also throw out Noah Fant. There was rumors about Seattle maybe trading the former first-round pick who's been a journeyman tight end. Maybe you can get Fant, who has a similar skill set in terms of athleticism and yards after the catch as a Jonnu Smith and could be a seamless replacement for Jonnu. The point is this. The Dolphins are going to make moves the rest of this offseason. So make sure you're subscribed because we are going to have a lot of content. When Jalen Ramsey gets traded, we'll likely go live here at the channel. Jonnu Smith gets traded, we'll break it down with a video. So subscribe to the channel. 80 subscribers away from 70,300. Join us today. All right, let's transition from Jonnu Smith to Jalen Ramsey because ESPN put out an article today with the 3 most likely trade candidates, the potential trade packages, a prediction, and a whole analysis of each individual trade. And they have 4 different Jalen Ramsey trades. I want to go through them, talk about each one, and then ultimately where I think things are heading with a Jalen Ramsey trade. We'll start with the first trade idea. This one came from ESPN's Jeremy Fowler, and it was Ramsey going to the Los Angeles Rams. And for a relatively solid return as well, you get a 5th-round pick, a 6th-round pick, and some cash considerations as well, which could help pay off some of that Jalen Ramsey contract. And I'd be honest, at this point in the process, I'd be pretty ecstatic with this return. We'll talk about maybe getting a 4th-round pick in just a second. But if you can get multiple day 3 picks for Ramsey, I think that's a win, especially as long as it's not like a 6th and a 7th. You actually get a legit top 150 maybe pick here in the 5th round, and then a pick there between 150 and 200 in the 6th round. Like, that would be pretty good. And then you just add to your draft assets that you have. You already have a projected double-digit amount of picks in next year's draft. So you just continue to add to it, give yourself more ammunition to make trades the rest of the offseason at the trade deadline or next offseason as well. Well, the other Ramsey trade idea, this one came in from Dan Graziano, if I'm not mistaken, and it's not a fun one. It's just a 7th-round pick. I understand Jalen Ramsey's trade value isn't high. Everybody knows he's going to be traded. Like, the only way, I don't even think there's a way I'd be okay with this return. Like, I would talk about maybe, like, if the other team ate all of the money, but because of the Ramsey's contract situation, like, you're not really going to save a lot of money if the other team paid all, right? Like, so I don't get why Miami would think. I would be honest. I would borderline just say, Jalen, we're just not going to trade you. We're going to, like, you're going to have to figure it out, and you're going to have to play for us if you're getting a 7th-round pick in return. Like, there's no way that I would be fine with the return like this, and I don't think it would happen either, but this was the trade idea from Dan Graziano. 2 more trade ideas to go through here in a second, but get your Dolphins hoodies on sale right now, 50% off clearance, usually $75.32 right now when you go to chatsports.com/Dolphins sale. Links in the description and comments of today's video. Take advantage. Sizes are running out. All right, this is a trade idea from Benjamin Solak, number 3 from ESPN, and this one will probably be Dolphins fans' favorite. He goes to Carolina, so he goes to the NFC, but you get a 4th-round pick in return. And as I mentioned a little bit earlier, I just don't think you're getting anything better than this in return for Jalen Ramsey. Like, Jalen Ramsey's play on the field is indicative of maybe even a 3rd, 2nd-round pick. But when you factor in him being 30 years old, the contract, and it's not a long deal, there's some years that you can get out of in the future, like, I just think that this is a deal that if I was Chris Greer in Miami, if it was on the table right now, I'd probably jump on it, and I would probably make it happen. One idea I would not do is the 4th and final idea on today's show. I mean, it's just abysmal. I thought I was upset with the 7th-round pick from Los Angeles. This one's coming in from Seth Walder at ESPN. He talked about how the Chargers don't need Jalen Ramsey. I would actually disagree. Their cornerback room is pretty bad, but it's a 7th-round swap and Ramsey. This is legitimately, I don't know if it was a typo on ESPN. It could have been, because this is the worst trade of all time. How on earth is Jalen Ramsey worth a 20-pick difference at best in the 7th round? Are you serious? I mean, all jokes aside, if Chris Greer made that trade, I don't care if he is getting blacklisted. Well, I can't think of the phrase. Blackmailed. Thank you, producer Reed. Blackmailed by the GM of the Chargers. You got to fire Chris Greer if he made that trade. I just don't think it's realistic either way. But, that was the worst trade idea I have actually ever seen. So, the Dolphins beat reporter for ESPN was handed all 4 of these trades by Graziano, Fowler, Solak, and Walder, and then talked about which one he would do. Marcel on the ESPN trades, saying that an additional 4th-round pick from Carolina gives Miami a whopping 7 selections in the first 4 rounds of the 2026 draft, including any potential comp pick. That's more than enough capital to either stockpile young talent as the team continues to build its financial flexibility or put together a trade package for a difference maker. Either way, a 4th-round pick is about as good of a return as Miami could ask for. And I agree 1,000% with Marcel. At this point in the offseason, in the Jalen Ramsey trade discussions, whatever you want to call it, if you are able to get a 4th-round pick, that would be an absolute win for the Miami Dolphins. I don't care if it's a 4th-round pick straight up, a 4th-round pick that could turn into a 3rd based off conditions. That would be the real home run here. I would even consider a 5th-round pick with incentives and incentives that could get to a 4th-round pick conditions. That would be pretty good as well. If you could get an early day 3 pick, I think that's as good as it's going to get for Jalen Ramsey at this point. If you are just getting draft capital in return, there's obviously other ideas out there where you can get Kyle Pitts maybe back, like Ramsey in a 5th for Pitts or something like that. But if you're just doing draft capital, I think that's as good as it's going to get, and I would be jumping at the fish hook if I could get that right now. All right, so predict it. We saw trade packages with the Rams, almost said Falcons. I would like to do the Falcons, with the Panthers and the Chargers. What team ultimately makes the deal with the Dolphins for Jalen Ramsey? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. As always, my prediction has been and will continue to be the Los Angeles Rams. Ramsey, I think, wants to go back there. Wants to go back to the LA West Coast lifestyle. McVay has just spoken so highly about Ramsey and potentially acquiring him. I'll also say this. I'm actually surprised the trade hasn't happened yet. I don't know what the holdup is. Is it something on Miami's end where it's okay, we're truly waiting for a better package? I don't know if other teams just aren't as interested. Now that June 1st and that money situation has officially been done with and passed, I thought this would have been going quickly here because we want to see the financial benefits of trading Ramsey, saving $10 million in cap space, come to fruition so Miami can use it to maybe bump up Jonnu Smith's payday or go out and sign a Rasul Douglas, Asante Samuel Jr., Stephon Gilmore. Come on, let's get this rolling here. Let's get it done. And like I mentioned, Ramsey gets traded. We'll be going live. There's a couple of scenarios where I don't go live. I got to go to a wedding on Friday, so maybe that would be one of them. But either way, hit that sub button and make sure you have your notifications turned on so you never miss a piece of content we put out.